Hi, I'm Jane Goodall. You may have heard my name, but hopefully you've also heard of my ethological studies and research that I've done on primates. I'm best known for my behavioral studies with chimpanzees. To give you some background into my topic, I'm going to take you back to the early 1960s when I did research on chimpanzees in Africa. I brazenly used words in my research like childhood, adolescence, excitement, mood, and I was highly criticized for it. My crime was that I suggested chimpanzees had personalities. I was describing human characteristics to a non-human animal. Luckily, we've come a long way in the last few decades, but animal rights and animal welfare in general is still a very big issue that we deal with today and that I fight for every single day. My persuasive speech today is about animal rights and welfare and why we need to reevaluate it and why we need to act on it and change what we do to make it better in the future. I'm going to be discussing with you today what's currently in place, why it's good to have animal rights and welfare protection, what can be improved, and of course what we can do to make it better in the future. Animal rights is the idea that an animal has the right to life, that their basic interests should be afforded to them the same as a human's is. Animal welfare is the protection of an animal's health and well-being. Every state across America has some form of law that has to do with animal welfare, whether it's hunting and fishing laws to prevent overhunting of a certain species. There's endangered species laws usually in place, and even animal cruelty laws that protects our pets from malicious intent by a human. Now, the Animal Welfare Act of 1966 is the only federal law in the United States that regulates the treatment of animals in research, exhibition, transport, and by dealers. It's so important to have these laws because, for example, livestock, we have certain laws that go into place when it comes to how our livestock can be handled and treated, because we need to keep the health conditions of those animals at the highest possible level so that the meat and the products we are consuming as humans isn't contaminated by any of bad living situations. Without these laws, animals we eat are more likely to get sick and can eventually cause us to get sick. California voted in 2008 to give farm animals more room to be able to stand up, lay down, turn around, and extend every limb. Unfortunately, not all states have put a law like this into effect. And it is our duties as human beings to protect the animals that are in our custody and to give them the best life we possibly can, especially when those animals are going to be consumed by human beings. The same is applied to medical research. Stressed rats, for example, develop chronic inflammatory conditions and intestinal leakages, which add variables that confound data. And so that medical research that we're doing on animals that are exposed to less than great living conditions, ultimately the medical data provided from it is unusable most of the time. These laws and guidelines for farming practices, for medical research practices, need to be a tighter, more tightly confined and controlled law so that we can protect the animals that are in our custody since they are helpless to do so themselves. Animals are so important to the natural balance of life. Even small animals such as raccoons and birds and squirrels carry seedlings and things from trees which guarantee the growth of new generations. They pollinate flowers even by carrying, brushing up against flowers and the pollen carrying on their backs. It's amazing the things that the animals do for our ecosystem that we so easily forget on a daily basis. So what can we do to help in the future? Voting is a big one. Smart voting, understanding what you're voting for, and voting to give animals rights and making sure that their welfare is in interest. We can donate and volunteer at organizations that are already helping animals currently. And we can shop smarter. So when we buy meats, we buy leather products, we're not just buying them at random. We're thinking about where it's coming from and whether or not it's healthy to consume that or to support that moving in the future. I'm not asking you to become a vegetarian or a vegan. I'm not asking you to stop buying leather, and I'm not asking you to never get a flu shot. I'm simply asking you to remember to think and question before you adopt, before you donate, before you vote, to make sure that animals are in your best interest, because ultimately their interests are your interests. Thank you so much.